Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a strategy you've probably heard a lot about, the wheel. It's one of the most popular ways traders try to generate income, but let's be honest, it can sound pretty complicated. Well, today, we're going to crack it wide open and make it simple. All right, let's just start with this one simple idea. Picture a company you really like, you believe in it, but you think the stock's just a little bit pricey at the moment. Now, what if you could actually collect cash right into your account just for promising to buy that stock later and at a lower price? That simple question, right there, is the entire engine behind the wheel strategy. So first things first, what is the wheel? Let's pull back the curtain and see how this thing is actually built. We're going to go from feeling intimidated by the name to understanding exactly how it aims to create a steady stream of income. Okay, so at its core, the wheel is exactly what it sounds like, a process that's designed to just keep on turning over and over. You can think of it as a two-part system. It all starts with selling an option called a cash-secured put, which is just a fancy way of saying you're getting paid to maybe buy a stock. Then, if you do buy it, you move to phase 2, selling another option called a covered call to make even more income. It's a cycle. You know, the whole strategy really just boils down to these two moves. That's it. On the left, you've got the cash secured put. You're basically saying, hey, market, I promise I'll buy 100 shares of this stock at this price, but only if the price drops. And just for making that promise, you get paid right now. That payment is called a premium. Then, if you do end up buying the stock, you just flip to the other side of the coin and sell a covered call. Now you're saying, okay, I'll promise to sell these shares I own, but only if the price goes up to here. And guess what? You get paid another premium for that promise too. So how do these two promises, these two options, actually work together to create a cycle? Let's pop the hood and look at the simple 4-step engine that makes the wheel turn. It really is a pretty logical loop. Step 1. You pick a stock you actually want to own. Sell that put, and bam, you collect that premium. Now from here, it's a fork in the road. If the stock price stays high, the option just expires, you keep the cash, and you can go right back to step 1. Easy. But if the price drops, you move to step 2. You get assigned the shares. Now you own the stock, which immediately leads to step 3. You turn around and sell a covered call against those shares to collect another premium. And finally, step 4 is just about repeating the process. If someone buys your shares, they're called away, you're holding cash, and you start the whole thing over. If not, you just stay on step 3, selling calls month after month. Now here is the secret sauce that makes this whole thing work for the seller. When you sell options, time becomes your best friend. There's this little thing called time decay, or theta, which basically means that the options you've sold lose a tiny bit of value every single day. They're like melting ice cubes. This is great for you because it means you can often just let them melt away to nothing and keep all the money you were paid up front. All right, enough theory. Theory's great, but it doesn't really hit home until you see some numbers. So let's make this real. We'll walk through a super simple example with a fake company and see how this actually plays out. Okay, let's set the stage. We've got XYZ Corp, a solid company, you've done your homework, it's trading at $50 a share. Now you like it, but you think 50 is just a little rich for your blood. You'd be thrilled to buy it at, say, $45. This is the absolute perfect setup to start the wheel. So what do? You fire up the first half of the wheel. You sell a single cash-secured put option, and you set your price, the strike price, at $45. The second you hit that button, cash, a premium, lands in your account. That money is yours. You are literally being paid to wait for your favorite stock to go on sale. So at this point, only one of two things can happen. Let's look at scenario 1. If XYZ stock never drops to your price, if it stays above $45, then that option you sold becomes worthless, and that's a win. You just keep all the premium as pure profit, and you can immediately sell another put and do it all over again. But what if the stock does drop? Well, that's scenario 2. You get assigned, which means you have to buy the 100 shares at your $45 price. But remember, that premium you already collected, that effectively lowers your cost. You got the stock you wanted, and you got it at a discount. Okay, so you got the stock. You now own 100 shares of XYZ. This isn't the end. It's just the start of the second half of the wheel. Without missing a beat, you can turn right around and sell a covered call. Maybe you pick a price like $47. By doing this, you instantly collect another premium. You're now generating income on a stock you already own just for agreeing to sell it at a profit later.
Look, no strategy is a magic bullet, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. It is so important to understand the trade-offs here. The wheel is an income strategy. It's not a get-rich-quick strategy. So let's get real and take a very balanced look at the good and the bad.
On the plus side, the advantages are pretty clear. You get that potential for a consistent income stream. You get to name your price for stocks you want to own, and every time you collect a premium, you're lowering your overall cost. It's often seen as a more conservative options play. But, and this is a big but, the risks are very real. If that stock you bought tanks, you're on the hook for that loss. Your profit is also capped. If the stock goes to the moon, you won't be on that rocket ship. Plus, it takes a lot of capital to do this right, and you can't just set it and forget it. And this slide right here, this is the core trade-off of the wheel, laid out as plainly as possible. Your maximum profit, it's capped. It's limited. It's the sum of the premiums you collected, plus maybe a little capital gain if your stock gets sold. That's your ceiling. But your maximum loss, well, that's substantial. It's basically the same as just owning the stock. If the company goes bankrupt and the stock goes to zero, you could lose your entire investment, minus the small premiums you collected along the way. So, after seeing how it works and what the risks are, we get to the most important part. Is this strategy actually a good fit for you, for your goals, and for your personality? It all comes down to having the right mindset and, crucially, picking the right stocks to begin with.
Stock selection is everything here. This isn't the time to gamble on some speculative, high-flying meme stock. You have to, and I mean have to, pick companies you would be genuinely happy to hold in your portfolio for years. Think stable, blue-chip companies, businesses with strong financials and not a lot of debt. You also want to make sure their options are liquid, that lots of people are trading them so you can get fair prices. Really, this whole strategy is for someone who feels neutral to bullish on a stock. You're okay if it goes sideways, you're happy if it goes up a little.
And hey, don't just take it from me. This quote from Charles Schwab nails it. It says, choosing fundamentally sound stocks is crucial because traders must be comfortable owning the shares if the price declines and the put is assigned. This is the #1 rule of the wheel. If the thought of owning that stock through a downturn makes you nervous, then it is the wrong stock for this strategy. Period. So, we end right here with this final question for you to think about. The wheel forces you to make a choice. It offers the potential for a steady, predictable ride. But it asks you to give up your ticket for the high-speed rocket ship. There's no right answer. It's all about what you want. So, are you an income-focused driver, happy with consistent small wins? Or are you a high-speed growth chaser, willing to take on more risk for that shot at explosive gains? Your answer to that question tells you everything you need to know about whether the wheel belongs in your toolkit.